Not long ago, I was waiting at the bus stop heading for school. I was standing there, listening to music and enjoying the sunshine touching my face. A couple of youngsters came up and stood next to me. They stared at me and started to whisper to each other. Well, I didn't care because I was minding my own business. Suddenly, one of them said something that did not sound like Swedish. They stared at me, I stared back, and then they laughed while pointing at me. I started to feel uncomfortable since I knew they were talking about me. So I tried to ignore them and look at the other way. But the sounds were only getting louder and louder, and they even used hand gestures. So I got frustrated and took off my earplugs just to hear them say, "Konnichiwa," which means hi in Japanese. I thought to myself, not again. The bus arrived, I stepped on, sat down in the front, knowing that they were right behind me, still laughing. These kinds of events happen all the time, but it is not just the youngsters that makes me feel unwelcomed. Adults are great at it as well, but they do it in a much more subtle way. I don't know how many times I had to say that I'm not adopted when people insisted that I can't be 100% Asian, whatever that means, because my Swedish is great. I don't know how many times my answer Helsingborg hasn't been good enough when people ask me where I'm from. And I don't know how many times people are speaking English with me and then a second later spoken Swedish with someone else who looks more Swedish. I feel like I'm torn between two worlds, where I'm neither a Swede or a Vietnamese. In Sweden, I'm not considered as a Swede, no matter how fluent I am in Swedish, or given the fact I'm born in Sweden. I don't feel like I belong in Vietnam either, since I barely know the language or the culture. So for a long time, I found a temporary solution for coping with racism. I made fun of myself when the other kids mocked me due to my skin color. When doing this, the kids started to feel that mocking me wasn't fun anymore, since it didn't seem to affect me at all. So as I kept doing this, the kids slowly started to stop. This continued for a while, and I also began to make jokes at the expense of others. And I was satisfied for the moment, because it made me forget who I really was. I finally felt a connection with the bullies. So in 2012, I attended to a university in Gothenburg, where I found a friend who will be the reason to why I'm standing here today. He told me to stop making racist jokes. He told me that it wasn't okay to say stuff like that. Some people might get upset. At first, I didn't know what he meant, because I've always heard these jokes about me. And people are always saying, it is just a joke. He taught me a new word, racism. You might ask, racism, how could you not have known what it meant? Well, I knew what it was, theoretically, but I didn't know how racism really affected people. He opened my eyes and made me realize that I have been a victim for racism, a victim for 20 years. It came to the extent that I thought it was normal to be oppressed, that it was fortified into our society, and that we couldn't do anything to change it, especially not me, since I'm a part of the minorities. So I began to socialize and spend time with people who I could relate to, people I could talk to without being mocked. I got more and more curious and started to listen to people's stories. Stories about how racism has affected them. Stories about how they have become the people they are today. The more I learned, the scarier it got. How on earth could I have not noticed this before? So I started to think about my mom, her story, and how racism has affected her. I thought about my sisters and their stories. And then I thought about myself, what I'd gone through. I decided to learn from my mistakes and stand up for who I really am. I started to share my own story on social media. And the responses? Well, mostly positive. I was glad I had managed to reach out to some people. People thanked me for sharing my story and made them realize that they're not alone to feel this way. But I also got some negative comments. Comments saying that I'm overreacting. Comments that saying that it wasn't racism that I have encountered. The focus of my story got lost in the comment section, and the essence of it was forgotten. So to solve that problem, I was thinking about how people of color could express themselves without being questioned. So this led me to an idea that I hope will bring us one step closer to an equal society. So this is my idea. I want to create a book, a physical one, with stories from people that have encountered racism and oppression. I want to give minorities that can't usually get their voices heard a chance to raise them. So one night when I couldn't sleep, I texted my friend Jenny, hi Jenny, about this idea, share knowledge, and make people more aware of racism. I texted her while she was asleep. Jenny, I want to create a book with real stories about oppression and racism people of color around Sweden have encountered. A book where they can read in peace and quiet without getting distracted, which often happens in social media. What if you have a friend or someone who doesn't know anything about how racism affected people? You can just buy this book as a gift and give it to him or her. Are you with me? I sent the message, smiled, and went back to sleep. The first thing I did the next morning was checking new messages, and I got a message from Jenny. She wrote, "Asbra," which is like awesome in Swedish. She was just as hyped as me. So I pitched my idea on social media and got 11 others who wanted to be a part of this project. Everything from gathering stories to layout, design, marketing, and publishing. We all had different experiences, but we felt a connection, even though we didn't know each other. We call ourselves TNKVRT, which means worth considering in Swedish. TNKVRT's aim is to be a place, a platform, for spreading information and make people more aware of racism. We want to give people a chance to gain understanding and a broader perspective of how racism affects us. The book we are about to create is going to call Var kommer du ifrån egentligen? Which translates into, where are you really from? It is a question we all have heard too many times. It is a simple question, but yet so powerful. The question creates an alienation and reminds us that we can never, ever feel like a Swede, no matter how fluent we are in Swedish, or for how long we have lived in Sweden. Our skin color, culture, or even our name determine whether we're Swedish or not. So, why a book and not a blog on the internet? As I mentioned before, when I wrote to Jenny, a book doesn't have a comment section. It doesn't have a share button, nor a like or a dislike button. The focus is entirely on the one who tells the story. You don't see any negative comments or anyone disturbing. So we started to ask around for people who wanted to share their stories with us. We started a Facebook page and a Twitter account, and in only 3 weeks we got 900 likes and 300 followers. People supported us. Our goal is to have a book with 100 different stories at the end of 2016. And we started to get our first story. I'm going to read one of them for you. My 10-year-old sister was selling mayflowers with her friend. For those of you who don't know what a mayflower is, it is a small plastic pin that you can buy to support and help children who are in need of money. My sister has dark hair and dark eyes, while her friend is blonde and has blue eyes. A lady walked by, and my sister asked the lady if she wanted to buy her mayflowers. The lady replied, "No, I do not want to buy flowers from you." The lady moved on and went towards my sister's blue-eyed friend, who was standing about 10 meters away. The lady bought her mayflowers. My sister came home the same day and was very sad. She wondered what was wrong with her. It hurts my heart when she asked, "Should I dress nicer next time? Or how should I dress if I want them to buy mayflowers from me?" So this is one of many stories that we have received. Some are short, but some are much more longer and more detailed. It makes me so sad to hear these stories, but also a comfort to know that I'm not alone to feel this way. So my dream scenario in the future is an equal society where we don't need these kind of books. We don't need these kind of stories to understand each other. And I hope that we have enough sympathy for each other, that we don't see differences of one's skin color, culture, or name. I hope that this book will be an example of a time when racism was still normalized. A book your future history teacher will bring when lecturing about racism. I'm not satisfied until everyone understands that people have their own stories that have shaped them into the people they are today. I'm not satisfied until there's no judgment whatsoever based on skin color, and only then I will be satisfied. And this project, TNKVRT, Well, we're still looking for stories. We want people of color to know that if you want your voice to get heard, we got your back. We see this book as an extra chance to raise your voice and express your feelings, because it is a great feeling to know that you're not alone, to relate, and find people who share the same story. So all of you who are listening to me, I want to let you know that if you're fighting for something, show it. Embrace your creativity. Be friends with those who share the same values. Mobilize and start your own projects. Because I promise you, there's a lot of people out there who's waiting for a person who dares to take the command and lead the way. There's a lot of people out there who are waiting for a person who take the first step. And you can be that person, the person who might end up in the history books. Thank you.